Good morning, guys. Thank you. I'd like to thank Ms. Gonzalez and United South High School for inviting me back. Ms. Torres, worked with her, and Ms. Sosa. Let me get started. My name's Henry Miller. You're probably thinking right away, this guy's a white guy. I am a white guy, but I'm a white guy that was born and raised here in Laredo. And I've lived here all my life. My mom and I was raised here in a barrio right here in Santo Niño. I went to Santo Niño Elementary, so I speak Spanish very well. That was probably my first native language, actually. So to go ahead and get started, I was born and raised here. Went to Santo Niño Elementary, Nixon High School, go Mustangs. Sorry, Panthers there for a little while. Went to college, played 2 years of college football at Abilene in McMurray. It was a NAIA school, Division II. Stayed there for 2 years and finally got tired of getting hit. It's a different type of football once you get to college. So I came back home, went to school, kind of didn't do too well there for a while. Sometimes we all falter a little bit, but eventually, as I go along, you can become successful. Let's see, my father recently passed away, Alzheimer's. I'm sure some of you guys have families that have grandparents or a parent that might suffer from that same disease. Take care of them, please. I'm married. I've been married for 26 years to a very lovely wife. I don't know why she puts up with me, but they say opposites attract. And she has been married 26 years. Guys, that's a statistic. Not too many people stay married for more than a year nowadays. Don't laugh about it. You guys are a part of that whole group. So I have two boys. My oldest son, Andrew. He recently just graduated from the University of Texas in Austin, and he actually pulled off his degree plan. I'm extremely proud of him, as most of the teachers know about that. He pulled off his degree plan, which is a 150-hour degree plan. Normally they're 120 hours, and he managed to pull that off in 3 years. We're extremely proud of him. He graduated in May. He's very fortunate. Now he's working and going to school at St. Edward's University there in Austin. He was very fortunate to get a grad position, and he is the administrative assistant for the women's basketball team. And they're in the Heartland Conference along with Tammy U. We're a part of the Heartland Conference. So I get to see him every now and then when I go to Austin. And as a matter of fact, he's coming home this Saturday because their team is playing our team here at Tammy U. So that's pretty much in a nutshell about Andrew. And then I have Brian, my youngest son. He's 15. He's a sophomore. He's not much older than you guys at the early college. Fortunately, he's a really good kid, not just like probably everybody else in here. And we take care of him. He's not my normal traditional kid. He's not athletic. He doesn't play football or anything like that. For 468 competitors, I think he placed 60 out of those 460, which he's pretty decent. He's a good kid. Also, let's see, that's pretty much, I have 4 brothers. We're a family of no women in that family except for my mom. My mom is still alive today. She's 86. And I know she feels well because she calls me a lot. And when she calls me a lot on the phone, she feels really well. I get concerned when she doesn't call me, because then I know she's sick. But just a little sidebar, take care of your parents, take care of your grandparents. All right, now, as far as what I have done in my life, I've done a lot of things. I've worked at a lot of jobs. And I can go back and tell you that when I first got married, I worked in the oil field, and that's a big buzz right now for you guys. Has any of you guys ever heard of the Eagle Ford Shale? Oil field, probably maybe some of your parents worked in the oil field? Any of y'all? Guys, don't be afraid. Don't be bashful. No? No one works in the... Okay, well, excuse me? Yeah, exactly. The norias. I should have said that. All right. So I did that for a while and didn't do it. I didn't like it too much. So I ended up leaving that job and going to work for the Union Pacific Railroad at what is called a intermodal yard. And I spent 13 years there up until the point that I got hurt. I had back surgery twice. Normally, guys, on jobs that pay really, really well, and you don't have a college degree, normally that's going to be better known as a job that's extremely manual labor. Do you guys like to work out in the sun? 110 degrees, 115 degrees? Anybody? Well, if you work for the railroad, you're going to be out there for 12 hours in the 115 degree weather, or you're going to be out there working graveyard shift for 12 hours in the sleet or the snow or the rain. And they don't stop. They're like the post office. They're going to deliver. And you know, it doesn't matter what it takes. They're going to be out there. So I guess what I can, one of the biggest things that you need to realize is that, yeah, there's some really good jobs out there. And you really don't need too much of an education to do it. But do you want to do that? Okay? Now, after my little 13-year stint with the railroad, and my doctor telling me, after having surgery, says, you can't do that job anymore. And I'm thinking, I said, well, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I have a wife. I have a child that's 3 years old. How am I going to support these people? Well, one of my doctors, Dr. Robert Johnson, I'll never forget him. He told me, he goes, Henry, he goes, you want to go back to school and get your college degree? I said, well, what am I going to do with that? He goes, first of all, you need to realize one thing. Your back is messed up. We've got it fixed. There's nothing wrong with your brain. Totally nothing wrong with your brain. So I decided, well, that doesn't sound like a bad deal. So that's what I did. I went back to school. I went back to school in May of '97 and finished my education degree in 3 years. And in May of 2000, guess what? Graduated. So then from there, I said, now I have this college education. What am I going to do with it? So being that I hadn't done a teaching certificate, an opportunity came up at this school. So I interviewed, and I took the job. They actually offered me the job. I was ecstatic to take it because guess what? That 3-year-old needed to be fed. And so did, it was my responsibility as the male of the family, excuse me guys, to be the provider. And granted, it's a team effort. I couldn't have done anything that I've accomplished without my wife. So I spent a glorious 10 years here at United South. I really enjoyed teaching. I think I made a few lasting impacts, I think. I have a few kids that went to Yale. I have 2 that went to Harvard and graduated from Harvard. I saw a few kids, you're not going to believe this, and I used to teach AP government. And my students, my tests were extremely difficult. But there were challenges that I needed to give them based on what my life had been as far as challenges in my life. So I decided, well, guess what? What better way than to challenge my kids and make it extremely difficult to the point that it would hurt. Have any of you all had to study so hard that it hurt? Anybody? None of you guys have studied till it hurts? That you can't find, there's no way out? Have you? Yeah, I mean, you know what? And it's going to happen, guys. But I always, the principal that was here at the time, Miss Wilson, she would always, right before lunch, she would come by my room, and she goes, "I know exactly what's going on today in your government class." I said, "Well, why?" And she goes, "Your students, your government students, during lunch, had a study session while they were having lunch." She goes, "You're giving them a test today." I said, "You're absolutely correct." And she looked at me and she goes, "I saw your review." And she goes, that's a pretty difficult test." I said, "Well, you know what? That's just fine." I said, "Did they look like they were hurting?" She goes, "Yeah, they're hurting real bad." I said, "Well, good, then I'm doing my job." Because guess what? At the end of those classes, you have matured so much that you're willing to take the challenge. Normally, when you're faced with any type of adversity, something that you can't deal with, do you just give up right away? Or do you strive? Do you want to do it? Do you want to continue? Let me put it in a different context. Let's just say that any of you guys play sports in here? Ladies, any of y'all? All right, when you're out there practicing, when it gets really tough, do you try harder or do you give up? You try harder. Guys, and in all aspects of life, when you are put up against adversity, don't you have to try harder to make it? You know, some of your families, economically, guess what? Things are tough. What do? Le buscas, you try to find what to do, right? You strive for something else. Well, see, that's what my whole philosophy was. And granted, when I started teaching, I was a little bit older than the normal teacher that comes out of college. I brought to the table something that a lot of 24 and 25-year-old teachers, and I'm not trying to be mean or ugly or anything like that, I brought experience to the classroom. Life experience. And my job was to make you realize, since even though you guys, some of you are 14, 15 years old, right? Maybe some 16-year-olds. Granted, did you know everything that there is to know in the world today that you guys know? You don't know it all. And your teachers are here to help you. Hopefully today, after I've spoken to you, have maybe rattled your cage a little bit to make you realize that education is extremely important. Okay? And the only way to be successful nowadays, before it used to be if you had a high school diploma, oh, you were good to go. And if you had a bachelor's degree in college, you were phenomenal. Well, guess what, guys? The tides have even changed even more now. If you have a bachelor's degree, you're okay. A 4-year college degree, you're okay. Master's degree, now you're back up there. PhD. I know we're shooting pretty far out there, but guess what? December of last year, December the 14th actually, and this is not to say that you're never too old to go to college. I finished my master's degree last month. I got my master's degree in political science with a minor in educational administration. Well, guess what, guys? Speaking of adversity, you know it's very hard and extremely difficult to work, right? Because in my job, my normal week is between 50 and 60 hours a week. Travel. I do a lot of traveling. So just like tomorrow, I leave tomorrow and I don't come home till Saturday. It's a short trip. I'm going to Dallas. It's not so far. I've been to Indianapolis. I work with the NCAA, and you know what? It takes a lot of my time, and you have to be extremely, extremely diligent when you work with these issues. Has any of you guys ever heard of the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association? On Saturdays, you watch those football games, or volleyball or whatever. I deal with those guys on a daily basis. Okay, getting back to adversity. So, it's extremely important. Working on a master's degree, taking 2 classes a week, and I'll never forget, I spoke to one of my professors, Dr. Mark Monaldo. Young guy, has his PhD, I think he's 32. Extremely difficult guy. Oh my God. When he called me, he says, hey, you haven't registered for classes. I said, well, you know what? I said, we have to talk first. He goes, what do we need to talk about? I said, I need to talk to you. I do a lot of traveling with my job. He goes, okay, we'll talk. So I made a deal with my professor. I said, these are the dates that I'm going to be out. Okay? Adversity. One of my classes, guys, you know how you have a textbook and you read it, but you don't have a take-home textbook. So you leave it here. You guys think you do a lot of reading here? No? You don't? Okay, one of my classes was a political philosophy class that had 11 textbooks in it. For one semester, guys. 11 textbooks. A book a week. He took me on this ride, a whirlwind ride of different authors, but adversity. Working, taking 2 classes a week. I'm also a farmer here in Webb County. I'm the only hay farmer that's left in Webb County. So I do that. It's a business. I take care of my mom, and I take care of her finances. 5 things, all in 1 week. Don't go and think that, oh, it's really easy. Oh, no. And I would have to thank my wife because of adversity, because at 2 in the morning, I'm sitting in front of the computer trying to type up a report on Sigmund Freud's civilization and its discontent. And Sigmund Freud's a wild man. He's a crazy man. But I enjoyed his read. Very good. There was times of thinking about quitting. What am I doing to myself? Is this all worth it? Is all of this going to be able to pay off in the end? And believe me, guys, there was times at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm thinking about throwing in the towel. I said, there's got to be a better thing. It's got to be a better thing. Well, deep down, then I would slap myself kind of a little bit like, what are you thinking? You have 2 classes. You're almost done. This is going to be great. It's going to be real nice once you're done. Well, granted, yes, it is. And I did finish, and I'm extremely proud of that. My family's proud of me, and I'm ecstatic. And just so that to relate with you guys, I understand that you guys have adversity too. This whole new testing thing that you guys are having to deal with is not easy. It's not. Because guess what? You're doing things that what they're asking you to do, the state is, and there's challenges. Well, to be successful in life, you're going to have to address those challenges. You just don't give up, guys. Everybody in here, everyone, and no one in here can tell me that they do not want to own a house. A nice house. You want to have nice clothes. Hopefully live in a nice neighborhood. Have a nice car. Old 22 spinner things, whatever. I'm totally out of touch with that whole thing. But anyway, everybody in here wants those things, right? Totally correct? Does everybody want to have a decent, nice life? Yes or no? Yes. No one wants to be slumming. Come on, guys. You're fooling yourself. So, what you need to do through all these whole adversities that you guys have to deal with, just remember, and Rousseau said this, the end justifies the means. Is that right? Rousseau? Or is that, you don't remember who it was? It is Rousseau. The ends justifies the means. And Waldo Emerson, if you can dream it or imagine it, you can build it and you can live it. Okay? So, is there challenges in life? Absolutely. Can you address them? You can. Now there are issues that sometimes that you won't be able to, that are out of your constraints. But your teachers will tell you, and your school and your family will tell you that everything that you do, you make choices. And you'll hear this the rest of your lives, guys. And this is your first meeting with your teacher. I didn't know that I was coming in and meeting kids for their first time that have been in class. Wow, that's kind of unusual. Y'all should be doing information sheets and turning in attendance or something like that. Anyway, I remember the day. Those are the days that I don't miss. Well, but I did love to teach, and I was very good at it. Granted, I had, and some of the teachers will tell, oh, well, you had the magnet kids. Well, you know what? Within the magnet kids, you have the whole spectrum. I mean, you have the whole spectrum. Everybody's involved in there. And I was very fortunate that I could get my kids, I did something unconventional. I better not say that. No, I'm just going to leave that alone. I did my teaching differently. And I had, most of my classes range between 98% passing, and then I had a bunch of 100% passing rates. Had some kids that were commended, all that stuff. But I think I was able to pull that drive for them to be successful. You have to be, if you're going anywhere in life, you need to be successful. And you know what? And if you don't want to go to school, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And this is what a professor had told me back in the day. He says, look, he goes, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine. But whatever you do, you decide to do in life, be the best at it. He goes, you want to be a garbage collector? He said, you know what? Be the best garbage collector there is. You want to be an engineer? Be the best engineer. Never settle for mediocre. If you're doing just enough just to get by, it's hard to survive. But if you put in 100%, if you're going to be a truck driver, be the best truck driver there ever was. You're going to be a teacher? You'll never be as good as me, but you can try. So, did I kind of get that? That's okay with you guys? You understand that there's going to be adversity in lives? And you guys, most of them are freshmen? Okay, well, those of you that are freshmen, you guys have the bigger challenge. Normally when, I never understood all this, at-risk stuff until I started teaching, and it makes sense. Those of you that are freshmen, when you start up, you guys have, the odds are against you to begin with. Because everybody says, oh, I think the graduation rate, is it at a half? 50% or 40? That 40% of you won't graduate. Well, you know what? That might be true. But we need to push and bump it up. There's no reason anyone in here cannot get an education. If you don't want an education, you choose not to do that. It's not because your teacher didn't pass me. Oh, God, I hear that now. You know what, guys? And there's really good teachers, but all teachers are good. They wouldn't be here. So if you follow what they ask you to do, you'll be successful. Okay, and I'm going to spin out of that right now. Now, my job at the university is I oversee, and this is all of our athletes. I have 217 athletes, and we have 11 sports that we sponsor through the NCAA. And everything that you guys are pretty much going through, but at a different level, I deal with 18 through 24-year-olds. You guys are the younger spectrum. But all the issues that you guys have, they have as well. Except a lot of the times theirs is, how am I going to pay for school? Granted, our institution, we don't fully fund everybody. They're called full rides. We don't offer full rides at our university because we're not fully funded. We're limited on what we can give our student athletes. Everybody has the misconception that a student athlete it's easier for them. Well, I hate to tell you this, but I beg to differ. What a lot of people don't realize, excuse me, what do you think is in the everyday normal life of a student athlete that's in a college, at a university? Anybody have an idea? What time does your day normally start? 6:30, 7? Yeah. 6:30, 7 o'clock, right? That's safe to say. Our in-season sports right now are softball, baseball, and basketball teams. Our softball team this morning was out there already at 6 a.m., on the field at 6 a.m. And they were practicing from 6 to 10 this morning. Right now, we're on uncountable hours. It's unlimited. The coaches can practice them as much as they want. Because guess what? We're not in class yet. We don't start class till the 22nd. Well, when school starts, they're only allowed to practice 20 hours a week. Okay? But those 20 hours a week either come at 8 o'clock at night to like 10:30, or they're up at the field at 5:30. When the weather gets a little warmer, baseball's out there at 5 o'clock in the morning. So their lives revolve around sports. It's their job. So they go to school and they have to, and they're out there for 20 hours. Sounds like a pretty neat deal, right, guys? Well, guess what? Alongside those 20 hours, you have to do 15 hours of study hall. We don't allow our students just to not do anything. There's mandatory study hall. Maybe we should implement it at the high school. I don't know. I don't think you guys would like that. But at the university level, we have to make sure the only way our student athletes can participate and stay eligible is if they pass their classes. It's kind of a little bit of the same with the UIL. Okay? So, it's difficult. They have adversities. If they don't pass, they don't play. If they don't play, they end up losing the little bit of scholarship money that they get because they're ineligible. Okay? Do I have any questions about that? You know, NCAA? Anybody in here planning on playing any type of collegiate sport? Haven't thought about it? Well, if you do, let me just give you a little tidbit. If you're a high school student, you have to meet, which is the course, the 4x4, 16 core courses, with a C or better, and your SAT scores have to be at least a minimum of an 820. I'm losing. You all right, man? You shouldn't have stayed up last night playing, dude. It's horrible. So yeah. Now, adversities are, that's the same way I was in my classroom. Adversities are always going to be there. Okay? Now, are there any questions? You better ask questions, if not, you're going to go back to your class and they're going to make you fill out information sheets. And where you live and what do you want to do with your life? See, that's really important. Anybody in here? Maybe. Anybody here aspiring to be in the medical field? We need doctors. Got one? Nursing? What about engineers? How many engineers do we got in here? Good at math? You better love math. What about business? Business degrees, anybody? Anybody want to own a business? Do you think it's easy just going into business? Just going to open up? You know what? I'm going to open up a taqueria tomorrow. Well, If you're going to open up that taqueria, aren't there some logistics you need to take care of? You're just not going to open it up, right? What are you going to need first?
Permits.
Huh?
Don't you need permits?
Well, yeah, you need permits. You just can't, go out there and start, tossing some meat on a grill and just, no. And then are you going to have a place to start this business? Or are you going to have one of them roaming trucks? A taco wagon. See, that's the worst thing anybody could ever done, a taco wagon. You see, people try to flag you down, and no, it's crazy. So no, yeah, and everything applies, guys. You need permits. Anything that you do in life revolves around laws, and that everything. You're probably thinking, you know what? As far as life, all of our life we revolve around rules, right? On this campus, we have rules. Can you break the rules? Can you? You can. But are you going to have problems later on in the line? Yeah. So when you go outside and you're driving, are you all driving yet? Oh God, no. When you go out, can you just drive through a stop sign? No, there's rules. Well, I hate to tell you this, guys. In life, there's rules. Any way you look at it. Unless we go back to the state of nature and everything is total chaos. How do you think, remember, what was that whole December, what was it, the 12th? 20, what day was,
21st.
Yeah, we're like 30 days out of the world ending already. So, guys, don't be so gullible. I don't know. Anyway, I don't normally believe those things, and you know what? The only bad thing about those are that young minds like yourselves, the information age is incredible. The information that you can get is vast. The information that they pump into your minds, into your brains, is vast. My 15-year-old was freaking out. He goes, what if the world's going to end? I said, son, it doesn't matter. We're all going to be dead anyway. The world's coming to an end. I told him, I said, don't believe everything that is put out there. Now, if there was war and all kinds of stuff going on, well, then you might have some concerns. Or a meteor is going to run into the earth, and the planets were going to align. See, that's very important. I don't get it. So, just be very careful what you listen to, and by the way, you do have an opinion, but make sure it's done correctly. Okay? You can ask questions, as long as you don't hurt anybody when you ask those questions. Always be very careful what you say. Let's see. That's pretty much all I've got for right now. Do you guys have any questions? Nothing? Sorry, Nani, you're going to have to go back to class. Okay, well, thank you guys for having me. Okay, well, just one last note, guys. And this isn't the last time you're going to hear it. Education was my pathway to success. And this is just extremely recent as well. It's important that you contribute back to your society, to your town. Because guess what? You're going to live here. So education is the route to go. It's expensive, yes. But as they say, the ends justifies the means. It'll pay itself off. Just be diligent. Don't give up. And try hard. Try real hard. If you show you try, good things come out of it. Put in 100% effort. Don't dilly-dally around, as they say. Okay? Thank you.